Hello, folks. Jonathan Snelly here. Today we got something special. We're going to have a very interactive discussion. We're going to talk about hidden superpower, connection. Because without connection, trust doesn't occur. And without trust, nothing else forms. There's a couple things buzzing around for me, right? And I want to share them with you. And here's what's top of mind, right? We can go through a slideshow, and that's going to be what that's going to be, and you're going to capture what that's going to capture. And yet, I see here right now there's a really unique opportunity to have something more interactive and have a discussion. So if you're open to that, I'd like to do a sort of culmination of all of the above. And my intention here today is to illuminate what's possible when we connect and when we're present with folks in our world. And if you allow me the privilege, as we unpack some of this, I will share some really intimate personal stories within my own family that shifted everything for me. Because for me, connection, sometimes we're so incubated in an, well, connection is business related, connection. And for me, it's all of it. And how we show up in our transmits organically to everything else we do, right? So if you're cool with that, I mean, we'll pivot through some of the slides or not, but more importantly to me is like, let's have a discussion about things. So, are we cool with that? That makes sense for you? Okay, I was just talking to Natalie about this, so she's really great with this, so thank you. I'm very open, so you can ask me anything you wish. And yet, it's not about me. What's really curious for me is, what actually brought you here today? Like, what intrigued you to come?
I saw, I was on the board and everything, and I think maybe I'm coming. My mood, I was, my life, whole my life and everything was busy, etc. But now I am a little bit, my emotion a little down, and I'm thinking, at least I will go listen something.
Thank you for sharing that. And so, we can either have an agreement or an expectation. And I want to ensure that I meet those expectations for you. So you're showing up here today to say, hey, listen, this is where I'm at, mentally, emotionally, I'm here, right? And I'm on a little bit of a dip. So what's your intention? If you take one thing away from today, what is it for you?
If I take one.
If you leave here with one thing, that's what I came here for today.
What I want today to listen from you?
Yeah.
I really don't know. Maybe it's the way how you're thinking about your about. Because it was strange. I see education is a little bit down in Canada and everything, and have grandchildren. War, my relatives in Ukraine.
Mm-hmm.
So it was a lot of in politics and everything. So how to keep, I would like to keep myself a little bit more happy.
Got it. You're looking for some sort of a shift.
Yeah.
May I come to you now?
Yes.
Like what?
I gotta tell you, John. So for a while now, because you talked about connection, and I've been trying to focus a little bit more about connection to self.
Sure.
And more specifically unleashing your your hidden superpower. You know, there's sort of like the me, like the resume thing, like this is what I've done, this is what I whatever, right? But then there's like, because I'm trying to figure out like career path moving forward.
Got it.
And I've done a lot of self-exploration, and I kept going super broad. Like, this is what I used to do. Do I still want to do it? Like, you know, like, what am I supposed to be doing, kind of thing? What's my purpose? You know, asking those like sort of bigger questions. But then that's kept me stuck for a little while because I feel like I should have the right answer or some like answer, right? So in searching, but at least if you can seek it, you could hopefully find it or find some clues. And lately I've been getting a little bit of clarity. And I haven't read a physical book in probably over a decade. I mean, I've had some audiobooks and, you know, things like that, but reading, like sitting down with a physical book, honestly, I used to be a ferocious reader, and now, like, I just caught a book called, I was gonna bring it, it's the One or something like that, I can't remember the exact title, The One Thing, and it talks about how, exactly that, like, what is your one thing, right? One, it would sort of simplify my life to my, like, focus somewhere. So I'm trying to at least put me in a direction. 2 days ago, I think, I saw they said, oh, unleashing your hidden superpower. I'm like, there's gotta be something in me that, I can feel like I'm wanting to reawaken or awaken something, that one thing or whatever. Like, to your question about walking away with something, about what that might be, or even finding out what that is. I have a feeling I do kind of know.
Okay.
I don't want to give it away just yet, but because I'm thinking like I want to. There's possibility. People I have read throughout my life as to the like what career choices I have wanted in the past. So I do sort of see a bit of a common thread there. If I can get that clarity, maybe define it as superpower, maybe reignite either a passion or a desire, because I just keep going broader and broader and broader, and I just want to keep trying to bring it back. One or two, ideally one thing that I can define as uniquely me, that is my superpower. And I was like, like I said, when I saw this, I'm like, last 2 chapters or so, and I'm like, I think it's lining up. I'm asking that question of the universe, and the answers seem to be lining up. So that's why I'm here. I was like super excited when I saw your topic.
Well, beautiful. Thank you, and thank you. I have 2 immediate questions. May I ask them?
Sure.
So, 1 to 10, 10 being like, hell yeah, jump. 1 being close. Where do you think you are with knowing the next path?
Pretty low, like 2, 3.
Okay.
Yeah, if I'm being honest.
Thank you for being honest. So we've got some movement here. So what do you think it takes to get to a 3 or a 4?
Clarity.
Okay, so this feeds into the other question I had, which is, you're going through this alignment, and I love that word, because it's either in alignment with what we do, or it's not, right? Without giving away what you've discovered so far, until you're ready to choose so, how do you feel so far? Like, is this dramatically different than what, where that, you said, I'm almost starting to see things come back to me. Is this a past version of your life coming back? Something totally sort of melded in between?
Answer that. I think I'm trying to kind of figure me out now, but using my past choices to bring clues.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Absolutely. You're bringing your past biases from the past This is what served me well in the past. This represented who I was at this period of time. Does it still serve me well? Can I carry this forward? And where is this going to go?
Exactly.
Thank you for that. I'm going to pivot to you. You had a question.
One question, and so when you're talking about superpower, you're talking about how I understand, and when the person in the right place and doing right things, it's a superpower. If it's really, really right place, how we call right place, right time.
Sure.
Yeah, what is a superpower?
So I use the framework of superpower because everything I do, every piece of work that I create, every cell within my body is about connecting with human beings. And that's the ultimate superpower. Because when I connect with the people in my space, I understand who they are. And what that does, that allows me a piece of information, because human beings, we give out information, right? And once I know a little bit about you, I can connect. And once we connect, well, then the relationship starts to form.
Okay, good. I see.
Does that?
Yes, yes. You feel connection.
Yeah.
You feel life.
So sales approach, right? I mean, we can say that stereotypical used car person, because that's just thrown around. It seems very cold, isolated, sometimes slimy. It's not like that now. But over time it shifted. But a version of that traditionally was, oh, this person is just simply trying to sell. That's the opposite of connection, right? Do you walk in there and say, oh my gosh, I can't wait to buy this vehicle? The answer is no. You're already armoring up and you're battling like, what is this person going to try to take me for?
Yeah.
Right? And I'm using that as an example, but except that that's transferable to every interaction. So I'll unpack that a little bit more. And before that, I want to be respectful to you as well, because you've shared so much about you, which I'm appreciative of. Is there anything buzzy that you're dying to know about me that you don't already know?
What's your superpower?
What's my superpower?
Yeah.
I'm curious about everything. Curious about everything in life makes me curious to the point where it's exhausting sometimes. And
it's hard to concentrate about something specific. If it's interesting things, I'm curious about it. You have to concentrate about something else.
yes, of course, but think of it.
Hard to concentrate.
Excuse me. I think of it. My favorite superhero is Captain America, but I'll come back to that. But if I use Superman as an example, right? Superman's, the ultimate super being, right? And even Superman has kryptonite. Even Superman has something that cripples him. So for me, I'm curious about everything, I've got kryptonites as well, right? And they're constantly evolving. I mean, that's life's work, is to constantly understand ourselves. So it's beautiful that you came in here and said, this is what's going on in my life, because we're constantly evolving, going, holy smokes, the one thing that used to cripple me no longer cripples me. I'll tell you something, and we're not even following the script. This is cool, okay? But something that used to cripple me, right here, this device, right? With the I don't need to tell you this, you know this. You can walk down the street and everybody's like this. So this was my time. Talking to somebody, I would ring and be like, hang on. I'd answer the phone and I organically told you, whatever you're gonna say, I don't really care about. And then everything shifted for me. And I was like, what changes when this is on Do Not Disturb and in my pocket, and now I'm with you. So I don't care how many times this thing rings, unless there's always exceptions to the rule, and I can explain that in a second. Except that Like, I'm here for so many different reasons, also because I give a damn about people. But if my expectations are not in alignment with your expectations, then none of this is going to occur. Right? Conversation, because you're going to say, holy smokes. I see a smile on your face, so what's buzzing through your head?
No, I'm just thinking what you said. No, but I usually am smiling a lot.
Good.
Yes, but it's smiling, but I want to say something in a not good mood, I'm still smiling.
Why do are you making that, for you, you said that's not correct? Smiling.
Smiling, no, it's good.
I think it's beautiful.
Yeah.
So we have 2 children, and they're part of this discussion that and our children, Christian is 12 and Cassandra's 9. And I talked to them about this. I said, smiling. You know what happens when you smile at somebody? They smile back. And that changes everything.
Exactly, I agree with this. I agree. I notice, no, it's based on the people. Some people react. For example, you're smiling, I will smile. Some people react. Some people don't see your smile. And even I notice about myself, it's me. Even in subway, I can see the people sitting there and they start to laugh, to give 3 people laughing. I look at them, I am smiling right away. I don't know what was the reason they're laughing, but it makes me smile.
That's a perfect example. You can walk into a space, people are laughing. You have no idea what they're laughing at.
Yeah.
Yet all of a sudden it brings you joy.
Yes, but many people here, you will smile and people.
Yeah.
It's very serious and everything. And the way how I grew up, my mom told me, don't smile.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. What's top of mind for you as we're pivoting through this discussion?
Well, actually, it's funny when you said your superpower is curiosity, because that's definitely not what I would have said for my superpower. But as soon as you said curiosity, it actually, the light bulb went off in my mind,
Okay, cool.
right? Because, as you discuss things and bounce things off, like that would have been a little out of the box for me, but there's a part of me that also has a bit of curiosity. Again, not what I immediately call my superpower, but it's bringing more curious as to how to get to that, how to get to that definition. Obviously you went through a process to be able to say that, and I'm now is piquing my curiosity how I'm going to come about that.
I got there through massive breakdowns. And I can say this today, what's exciting about breakdowns is on the other side of breakdowns are transformational breakthroughs. And we don't see that. In fact, it sucks at times. And I learned that, the suck. This is, in fact, a terrible moment. What it is, doesn't make the sucks. It's a terrible moment in time. And the moment I can understand that it's a blip in time, and in the grand scheme of the universe, its emptiness doesn't mean anything, that carves the pathway for a breakthrough. And I don't have to suffer through it. Yes, the suckiness is real, but the suffering is optional. It doesn't mean I don't suffer. I go through suffering. The little chatterbox voice in my head is always da 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 da. What happens is, as the highs are becoming high, the lows are coming, and I'm able to have the self-awareness to say, okay, stop. Excuse me. And I came to that conclusion by doing the work. And so when something tell you this, I'm a human being too. This is not like safe mechanism. There's days where I'm grumpy, miserable, and my ego has control of me, and I don't do the practice, and I don't do the exercise. The days that I do, I call it brain dumping. And I literally take a piece of paper, and I write everything that's buzzing around for me. This is pissing me off, this is bothering me, this is all the I call them ants, the automatic negative thoughts, the thoughts that are going through I write them down. And I never read it again. And the next time those little ants, automatic negative thoughts show up, I go back to the brain dump technique and I write what I wrote before. So at the end of it, what you get is you get a page of nothing but, I use a black pen, nothing but black lines. I can't read. And the only time I change a page is when you either write so much through it that you burn it and let it go. What illuminated for me and what showed up was, what's the opposite of wallowing in my sorrows? Right? Shit happens and I have a choice here. I can stay down here. What's the opposite of that? Well, what if I started to become curious? And what does that look like? And so I like to move around a little bit. So I'm just going to get up and become a little bit. And I can take this. There's personal stories and there's professional stories, of which I'll share. The curiosity really showed up there are moments where people have come at me hard, and I'm going to use a business scenario first. I spent much of my life in the construction world, fortunate to be incubated around that, and project management expertise is my skill set. And today I teach that, and I lead, and I do coaching, and everything I do is around people leadership. And I'm telling you this because the traditional metrics of running a construction site, running a job, were very different. When people would come at me hard like this, I'm getting to this. Thank you for hanging out here. Here's how I discovered the curiosity for me. It was 3 words. Tell me more. And when shit went sideways, it became really easy to validate, right? And this part of your brain, the rational part of your brain is like, well, why'd you do this, right? What do you want to do? You want to validate your perspective. I did it because of this, and guess what? It doesn't mean anything. Because the lenses through which I see life are always going to be that way. When I say tell me more, Jonathan, you really screwed this one up. How could you be so inconsiderate on it? Whatever the story is. And tell me more shifted. In fact, actually, I'll tell you, Vanessa's heard this story, and this happens at our house. When Christian was 7 or 8 at the time, and I was in the kitchen cutting up vegetables, and I get this big 8-inch butcher block knife in my head. It's probably 4:30 in the afternoon. He'd come home from school, and I'm buzzing in my head all the things that need to get done, should get done. And he's on the other side of, we have a kitchen island 6 feet long. He's on the other side of the island, and he kind of just looks at me and goes, really aggressive, right? 7 years old. Dad, sometimes I feel like we're not connected. What? I lose my shit inside my head, right? Like, what's this kid talking about? My whole life is for you at this point in time. Everything I do is about you and your sister and your mother, right? Like, this is the stories in my head. And you can feel, you feel the physical sensations, right? Blood rushes through your veins, your muscles tighten up and starting to sweat. You're getting a little bit agitated and angry. And I don't remember the exact framework. It was like, what are you talking about? And he continues and said, Dad, sometimes I feel like you're not even part of this family. Hardest thing to take, right? Especially inside my own world of version me would have very much easily armored up and validated all the reasons I am part of this family and all the reasons that we are connected and everything I do for this family, because that's how I was previously conditioned, professionally, personally, right? You're going to attack me? What am I going to do? I'm going to attack you back. Instead, I looked at him, put the knife down, head up, open chest. I'm fully open. I'm transmitting that energy now. I'm not here to, I'm friend. Listen to him, those 3 words. And then you shut up and listen. And I thought it was over, right? I thought, way to go, Dad. You're going to dismiss this. He's going to move on. But he didn't. I'm not going to tell you because you're going to tell me I'm wrong and you're going to try to solve my problems and and he's probably correct. Look, man. I commit. And there's much more. What I'm getting at is here's what I discovered from all that. I allowed him where share what's there. And what I discovered, tremendously hard to take as a parent, he's like, I don't forget. I mean, grade 7, you're in whatever grade you're in, 2, 3. And he's just like, I've actually my body position now. I'm on the floor with him. Sitting across from connecting. We're talking about connection. I'm actually connecting. In this case, I was actually holding his hands. I was like this. In many other scenarios, it can be side by side on somebody's shoulder. But what I uncovered there, I would have never known, because he sat there and said, Dad, sometimes I feel like I'm not good enough. What the fuck are you talking about, man? Like, you're 7 years old. What does that even mean? And I actually said that to him. He's like, see, I told you, you're going to. And I was like, great, you're. And he's smart. He knew what he wanted to do. He's like, why don't we talk about this later tonight? And we did. And what I uncovered later that night, this young boy was getting bullied at school. And he'd never experienced that before. Bullied. And aggression, saying, family, that was a reach out. I would have totally dismissed that, right? If I had not said, hey, tell me more, and become curious about the scenario, I would have never known. So that's it transpired in every interaction. It helped form trust, right? So here's the thing, like, it builds connection, right? Because if I'm curious, I learn about you. We're connected. And once we have connection, trust can form. And trust is the currency. Trust is the currency of the future. Trust is the currency of today. Trust is... What's interesting is, several years later, that foundational trust that I built with Christian surfaced for me again with where I had massive breakdown. Came to the table to support me through that. And we can get into that or not. But I went, that's what was discovered for me.
Thank you for sharing that.
You're welcome. So for me, it's all about connection. It's all about curiosity. Now, whether you're go ahead. Yeah.
No, I'm just thinking, so you suggested that these 3 words, tell me more, it's like magic words?
For me, yeah.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not going to tell
I
you.
want to say yes, that basically I have some person who is always tell me more, tell me more. But what I always found that before to say tell me more, probably you have to say something from yourself and then tell me more. Because when it's now in my mind, this person who always tell me more, he is here from his view. At least couple words about his view and everything. Oh, I thought exactly the same when I was grade 3. Do you know what? Something, when you say tell me more, it was like report me more. But tell me more, it should be something to show that why you interesting.
Yeah, it can be.
Hmm?
It can be, yeah. Compassion and care. And it's not just like, hey, tell me more, and then shut down, right? Because that's the listen, I do that too, right? This happened the other day, Christian again, right? He said something like, I don't want to go here, right? Well, now, I wasn't physiologically sound, hungry and grumpy, and right, so would have been utilized, I volleyed back the exact opposite. I'm like, right now, I really don't care. Right? And that, of course, set a spiral where I needed to recover afterwards. So it's about self-awareness, right? It's tell me more and actually shut up and listen. Not tell me more and wait to hear something and then say, oh yeah, well in this situation I've done this. You don't care about what situations unless you invite me in, right? So that's where it changes. It's like, so when somebody tells you something like, okay, got it, right? Have you got an idea on where you want to go with that? If the answer is yes, great, then how can I support you through that? But oftentimes what we do is, my knee hurts. You'll tell me, hey, thank you, I'm just going to use it. You say, my knee hurts. Okay, great. Then I might volley back and say, yeah, for me, you know, I take this pill and I put this thing on it. And how many times does that occur in life? And ultimately, what happens? You don't care. My situation is very unique to me, right? Where, oh, Jonathan's knee hurts. Okay, tell me more. What have you already tried? What's the next stage? Like, where are you going to head with it? All of a sudden, and then what happens is you might get to a point where all you're doing is you're not there to solve their problems. Most times human beings, we can solve our own problems with the time and space. We simply just, sometimes when we talk things out loud, we just want somebody to listen. Does that make sense? What's showing up for you as I've chatted about this a little bit?
What showed up?
Yeah, like what's bubbled in your brain as we've talked about this a little bit?
Well, I mentioned that I was also looking for my own superpowers, and I was actually thinking about something in my own situation.
Sure.
One of my jobs was I was in video. My actual what I was hired for was video production coordinator. So completely. I worked for giant company. I just worked in a little spot that was video production. So I would get a piece of paper on my desk, business, because pretty much all the clients were more or less small businesses. Knowing nothing about them, it was just a piece of paper, and I would, my job was to produce a video. So say you're Jonathan's Bakery.
Sure.
And some people, like my team lead, is not a, she will admit she's not creative. And she would call you, schedule with you, and she had the same 10 questions. Jonathan, you know, how long are you in business? Do you use products and services? Blah, blah, blah. And then she would take that, write it down, give it to a writing team, and spit back the same type of. But with me, I had a completely different process where I just sat down, got to. I was not interested. Whatever you say on your website would be your product, services, where you're located, but I want to get to know you. So I would sit down with you for, let's say, about 20 minutes, listen to you, ask, and then I would spit back a video I created, just proposing to you what I think. But it was just me connecting, me, and then that's where I use. But to take, and I would do that day in, day out, like a machine. But to your point, like if I didn't have the curiosity, if I didn't, I wouldn't even have the ability to create the video. Because to me, going back and saying where's the content is almost everything I've done. There was some kind of writing, creativity, because I was journalism. I did, video production. And so when you're saying about the curiosity and connection, thinking, oh my gosh, I never even, for myself, thought of those as skills, because I always thought of it like the storytelling and the writing, but as a journalist, those were qualities I must have had to be able to, and that's why I didn't want to say right away what I thought my superpower was, and I just wanted to sit back and listen and take some things in, because I was like, right? If you family friends with, I'll say, she's really, but this is why I kept going narrow and narrow. I'm creative, but I can't draw worth beans. There's narrow, to get that sort of narrow. That's why I thought it was either great at journalism or what drew me to journalism was exactly some of those qualities, the curiosity and the connection. Because when I was working as a journalist, because that's one of the things I studied, and I was working for a small news station, and my colleagues, they wanted the lead story. If it bleeds, it fire, burns, and whatever, right? Because they wanted to sort of move up in the world and take the top story. I'm like, you can have that, because for me, it was about the human element. And I know at the time a lot of people loved Oprah, but it was like I really connected with her. The reason I wanted stories, I was curious. I wanted to connect. You can have the fire. I don't care about the fire story, but the ones that I remember are the paraplegic. That was Special Olympics for tennis. I'm like, I'm able-bodied. I can't play tennis. How do you do it in a wheelchair? Moving a button around. I don't know how you do it, right? I like to see it in action. But I shouldn't say I can't play tennis, I've never tried, but you get my point. How do you do that in a chair? I'm curious. I'm genuinely curious. I dismissed it for myself because, for years, people would say, what do you do? What do you do? And I didn't think I had I didn't think I had anything because as the journalist, I want you to be the expert. I want to interview you. I'm curious about you. and I kept feeling like I don't have an expertise because I'm asking you the questions. You guys are all experts. You guys are the entrepreneurs. And for the longest time, I felt I didn't have a skill there. Because what is my skill? You're the expert. And it hit me one day when one of my mentors confided with me, and she said she wanted to start a podcast. And she started interviewing people, and she went a couple in and said, I don't know what it is, but I don't like this. Just so uncomfortable. She's like, I've never had this feeling before. That what, like, you know, she's crushing it in different areas of her life, and she, like, you know, she's a pro and, you know, and a successful entrepreneur. And why can't I do this? And I said, can I just offer something? I said, I think it's because we're such opposites, right? Like, I study journalism. I want to ask the questions. And I said, I think you want to be in the hot seat. You want to be the expert. But I just want to ask questions. And she's like, oh my God, you're right. She goes, if people ask me questions all day long, I'd be here forever, but I don't want to be the journalist. I don't want to ask questions. And that was the first time, oh my God, I felt like I want to cry. It was the first time I felt like I had a skill. Because I realized when we change places, I don't want to be in the hot seat. I've been in the hot seat once, and I was like, I never want to do that again.
Right.
And it just, like, it didn't occur to me that I had a skill. Like, that was a superpower and that's when it dawned on me that if we switch places, we're both happier. But for the longest time, when people ask me, what do I do? What am I expert at? I'm like, nothing. I honestly kept feeling like it was nothing. Because I was never feeling like I was the expert. I interview the experts, but I don't have the skill. I don't have the expertise myself. Until I'm listening to you, and you're saying you're curious, you connect, you can listen to, I'm like, oh my God, that's what I was doing as a journalist. And that's why I was able to spit back stories on the fly. That's a skill.
Yeah.
And I never, like I said, I always felt like everybody else had the skill. I was just bringing their story about. And so just listening to you, I'm like, oh my gosh, those are skills I have that I've been feeling like it's not a skill or not a, you know, not a superpower. And but yet when I would come to my team, they're like, you wrote all those scripts on the fly, you know, like churning them out. I'm like, that's easy. For me, it was easy, you know. And I was like, but why? And it was because of that. It was because I can, you know, connect to you, like Jonathan, not just your bakery, not just like you make muffins and whatever. You know, I might bring in some of your past or something that you said, you know, and some, you know, and then I could walk into this room and all of a sudden, you know, it's a video shoot, not a room. You know, I can take in this is now a video set, right? I didn't think those were skills. You know what I mean? Like I just maybe not taken for granted, but I just didn't maybe recognize those as superpowers or a skill. And so the longest time, it'd be like embarrassing for me in my own self when people say, what do you do? What's your expertise? And I'm thinking, nothing. You guys are all the experts, not me. It's just kind of reframing my, you know what I mean? Like, just because I don't want to be in the hot seat, being the one who asks the questions, going back to journalism, I mean, that's why I said to you earlier about connecting the things in my past. I did journalism, I did video production, I did writing, I did communications. But like I said, not knowing how to bring that to where I am today and what to do, like, you know what I mean, moving forward. So, so I know those are some of my best skill sets, but then, like I said, owning those as maybe some superpowers and moving those forward and honing in those skills, and valuing them. Yeah. It's kind of, like I said, it's like super eye-opening here.
Thank you for sharing all that.
Yeah.
Do you get now that you shared all that, how special you are?
Yeah.
you do things that 80% of the population doesn't. You care about people. You're sitting there. That's the emotion that. What was it? The opportunity to why? Because you were emotional. Because the cookies. It was about the person in front of you.
Yes, and honestly, I didn't even know that was what my team leader did until we were all going to get laid off because we're going to give these videos to the contractors to finish off the last, like, so they were going to give to third party when we were all gone just to finish the last contracts. And that's easy. I've got 10 questions that I was asking. Like, really? I said, I can't write down my process to you. Why? I said, 20 minutes, and then spit out what like a script. I was like, well, how do you want me to write that down? Right? I didn't realize how, and maybe still working on how to take that moving forward. But to your point, can I add one more thing?
Absolutely.
To your point about the breakdown, so maybe this is not the same thing, but in trying to narrow, I tried to do like my own YouTube channel.
Sure.
Where I was like talking head, and I was like, this sucks. This is not me. Like I'm not feeling like I'm an expert, right? Like, not that I don't know anything, but this just wasn't me. So then I tried another way to open up a children's YouTube video because I was pretty good at doing some children's stories. But then also realized this really isn't me. And this, unfortunately for me, I should have, quote unquote should have, taken it as an opportunity to be curious and say, where I should be at, or not quite me. I internalized this as, I did 5 videos and I can't do any more, I'm a failure. Not failure, like that's
I got it.
Closer, like farther off the deep end, but
A failed performance, that's all it was.
it just felt like, what the heck? Why can't I find my niche, or like you said, narrowing it down? And I think you maybe put the missing piece for me without realizing it, is that when I'm talking head and I'm like, I don't want to be the expert. Okay, the kid story, I'm creative, but underneath all that story was the connection and curiosity, which is why I went into the journalism. Like, if without that piece, it's just me talking to camera going, I don't have anything else to say. Okay, I'm kind of tapped out of children's stories or whatever, and you're like, there's only so many, like, this is a vegetable, this is a fruit. Like, this is not me, right? What was missing in that? I like the creative part, I like video, I like being on camera, I did all that. I'm like, what's missing here? Why can't I? And then my friend starts a podcast, and I was jealous because he's interviewing small businesses, and I'm like, I want your job. Like, I mean, it's obviously his business, but I'm thinking, I wish he'd hire me because I could do this all day, right? But that's the missing piece, is that those other forms of video, there's no engagement, there's no, like you said, curiosity, connection. When you were talking in my head, sorry, I was thinking, I wish this was on camera, I was interviewing you, because I used to ask more questions, right? And I'm sitting there thinking, okay, I'm listening to you, but in my head, I was sitting there going, I would love this job, I would just like to interview you, you know what I mean? But I honestly, like I said, I'm sorry. I was expecting the ocean here. Thank you for. I did not honestly think that's like like I said, just listening to you, I just filled in some gaps. Sitting there, like feeling like I opened up a channel, I gotta close it. Open up a channel, close it. I'm like, I'm there. What's wrong with me? I've done videos. I did this work. I didn't understand the missing pieces. Thank you.
You're welcome. I'm honored to hold space. Thank you for sharing that.
Oh my gosh.
May I share an observation?
Yeah.
You see, you demonstrated something
Holy cow.
that most folks don't get, and some may never will.
I should get them more.
See, there is no human being on this planet that what to do. Nobody likes to be told what to do. We're highly intelligent. We can figure it out. And so most times, it's the exact opposite of what you said. And it's not right or wrong, it's simply, it's the way it is. But in the other scenario where like this person had 10 questions, great, that was this person's process. And we're incubated with this, here's your standard operating procedures, we got processes. The challenge, and this is my opinion, and it might strike some people the wrong way, and I'm gonna say this purposely, the challenge with processes is it at times, right? And so oftentimes people come into scenarios with an agenda. Here's my agenda. I've got these 10 questions to ask you. After these 10 questions, high five, we're tapping out, and we're moving on. I'm using it as an example, but how many conversations do we end? It's somebody else's agenda. You meet somebody for the first time, where they download how great they are, their accomplishments, and guess what? Nobody gives a shit except, like I say this all the time, nobody gives a shit about your title except you. It's very different than the approach of, Jonathan has a bake shop, and yeah, he in all of GTA. So what? Right? I want to know how did this come to be? Where did this recipe come from? What's without giving away which cookie is the most script this stuff? You're sitting a crush from somebody because you're ready to receive that, and that allows you the opportunity to connect with them. Most times it's the exact opposite. Most times we're so distracted and busy with all the to-do lists of life. Get in, do my thing, and get out.
Done.
So thank you for demonstrating how life opens up when you take a different approach. You've got something special. Embrace that. Appreciate it. Human beings by simply being in their space and listening. You're welcome. I see you smiling. What's
No, my occupation completely different, and I am whole my life, computers development, writing program, looking for bugs is my favorite. Looking for bugs if something happen, and you have to find what has happened, why the job failed, what is how, and everything. Sometimes it's not only coding. Sometimes, for example, we're in Toronto. Somebody in Montreal changed the time when the program started 1 second later, but something like this. So investigate my job, it was investigation in program investigation, yeah, and writing new program. Whole my life.
And you're smiling when you're sharing that. So what kept like what is it that kept you in the industry? What kept you saying, I really want to keep doing this?
Because, for example, okay, it's probably came from the way how I grew up. Do you know, I went to school, I was 6 years old, and we lived in Kazakhstan. You know Kazakhstan, yeah. And there is a space city, Baikonur. When the first man go to space,
Okay.
yeah, Gagarin, it was, the rocket came from this. So I lived there in desert with camels, but I saw like a kid how the rocket going to the space and everything. And when I was in grade 8, in school they have to give us something, some skills for future. but they could not do anything because it was desert, no factories, no nothing and everything. But there is big computer center. Even it was 90s, 60s. So long time ago, there is many people don't know what is mean computer, but there was computer center. And so they hired some person from there and they taught us how to write the code and everything. And then step by step, university, maths and everything, but anyway, it was time when the computer became very popular and continue.
And what kept you in the industry? Because I'm sure you had many opportunities to look at something else. What was it that excited you to say, this is exactly what I want to do?
I want to say just life around. Computers became in 70s, 80s, computers became so popular. I learned at age 14.
Sure.
So how to write program and everything. But the most important for me, most interesting for me, not to write programs. The most important when I came to investigation, this is what sort of.
So when there was something went wrong, and you're like, I got to figure out the situation.
To figure out.
Yeah. Right. And again, thank you for that, because, you know, whether you say it out loud or say it, there's. I'm curious about that. I want to figure this out. What is it? What is it? What is it? And it stays in our head.
Yeah, to find like a puzzle, for example, like you doing Sudoku and everything. Something people, where is the answer? Where is it?
Yeah.
That is why sometimes if I have some problem, I even could not sleep.
Right.
Because it's so interesting.
Well, this is exciting because this is like, human beings, we like to solve our own. And how many insomnia nights do we're sitting there, we're trying to curate a problem and solve it, right? You know, and then all of a sudden you've got somebody else is going to come in and sort of bulldoze you and say, this is how to solve the problem. Thanks and no thanks, right? Like, let me go through this a little bit. And I'm saying this because you ask questions of yourself, right? And you. I'm going to. Because I want to. Curiosity also, for me, it starts internally, right? I have to do the work. How do I want to show up for this situation? What do I want to get out of this? What's the intention, right? Set intentions for the scenario we're going into. And then curiosity. So what I was sharing about Christian, let's fast forward, because this is where it's important for me now, is that I believe that there are powers greater than you and I, right? That are controlling things. I call it Gus, God, universe, spiritual beings, whatever it is you choose to believe in. There is a power greater than myself that is orchestrating things. And for me, my brain is pragmatic, trying to solve the problems. Except when I stop and I pull back and like, what if I didn't solve the problem anymore? And what if I just started asking myself questions? And an exercise that I do for myself, I call it the living obituary. And it's important to me. And it's not meant to be morbid. It's not meant to, scare people. And yet it's there as a tool to design my life today. And the exercise is, you fast forward in the future, and it's the day of your funeral, and the eulogy is being presented. There's somebody up on that podium sharing stories of me. This is who Jonathan was, and these are the memories. And the exercise is to visualize who you want up there. And what are they saying about you? And none of it has anything to do with accomplishments, degrees, widgets, money in the bank. None of that shit matters. Who are you as a person? What's the impact you had on somebody around you? And how are you leaving this world? And for me, it's Christian up there. And I write down the type of person that Jonathan was. And as I look back to, I call it living because the list is always evolving. But what that does is that curates who I'm growing into being. And when I look at my list, there's nothing materialistic on it. It's gave a shit about people. It's connector. Presence. Fun. The guy who always said, yes, hey, hell yeah, I want to play. And play, I mean, whatever it is, at whatever stage of life it is. And that's grounding, right? So I'm sharing that because it becomes really easily distracted. We become easily distracted by the next shiny ball. We're attached to it. Everything on our phone is like ding, 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 ding. I heard you say it before. How many times do we should ourselves? Fuck, I should be doing this. I should. And I had the self-awareness to say, what if I stopped shoulding myself? And what if I said I could be doing this? And that's not easy as a high achiever, somebody who's always striving for more. Well, I should be doing this, and I should be doing this, and I should be doing this. Like, I could be doing this. Or right now, there's so many times where, I'm creating ideas. Idea generation. I'm writing a book, and I'm like, shit, I should be doing this. But I also realize what's happening internally right now, there's nothing good that's going to come out of me. So what if I did something different? I could be writing this, but instead right now, I think I'll go for a walk. I'll take a nap. Or I'll eat something. Or whatever it is that's going on. I'm simply sharing this. This allows me to connect better with myself. And when I connect better with myself and understand who I am as a human being and the driving force behind me, it allows me to show up for the people in my life. And you've demonstrated that. Like you talked about, you realize for yourself, I'm really creative. These are the words that came out of your mouth. I'm really creative. Well, when you strip that down, the creativity is an output. The creativity is the result of the work you put in. You said it. The creativity is the easy part for me. Why is it easy? Because it's fun, and we're good at the things that we're really good at the things that we enjoy, and we enjoy the things we're really good at. Well, you enjoy sitting in front of people, asking great questions. Organic output is I can create this story, video. Right? What the hell wasn't exciting for you? Talking head. Well, that wasn't exciting for me. Why? Because here you are dictating something to somebody that truthfully they already know. And you can sense that. You know that internally. Like the internal drive, you're like, why, I'm doing this and I'm doing this to push a widget. Anyhow.
Yeah, I agree with you because what you're doing, you have to have talent, and you have talent. For my job and everything, it's my skills, it's my, for what you're doing, it's talented things, yeah.
The other thing I'd like to share is that what I've learned for myself is the power of volleying back and creating autonomy. See, human beings, we like three things, right? It's like information, do I know what's going to occur? Autonomy, do I have the ability to choose? And contribution, can I contribute? And yet, so many times we strip that back. And I'll use our children as an example. Oftentimes on PA days, I have the privilege of working for myself, so I get to create my own schedule. And on PA days, most times I don't schedule anything. Cool, this is exciting. I'm gonna hang out with them. They're still 9. Except I'll go in with my own agendas. Okay, folks, it's PA day. You know, go to the park, go for a hike. You know, go for breakfast. Go for. I'll give them a whole bunch of little things, and then you know what I say? But what do you want to do? Right? Or falsifying the autonomy. And so what that created actually was the exact. I'm sharing this because the exact. It created a wall. It created a wall. It created 4 choices. What if not?
No, I did not get it. By asking the question, you create the wall?
No, asking the question broke down the wall. I would come in and say, okay, here's 4 things we could do today, but what do you want to do? Of those 4 options, what if they, you know what I learned? None of those 4 options.
Yes.
And the minute I learned that, it was like earth shattering. Like, what do you mean you don't want to go outside? Because I was going by my own agenda. And so people comply, right? Okay, I'll pick one of these options. And what I learned, because I had a huge, massive breakdown that we can get into if we choose to there, was the exact opposite. When I started asking more questions. Okay, we have given parameters. We have 4 hours today.
Yes.
What do you want to do? And actually relinquish that power was pretty uncomfortable. Because I have stories in my head like, what if these kids, I'm using kids example, what if these kids say I want to watch TV all day? Oh my God, that would drive me bananas, right? Except when you don't. When I had to let go of that and I had to say, oh my gosh, see, these are my expectations. I'm expecting them to choose something within this realm, but they're my expectations. It's not theirs, they're mine. And what I was actually doing was forcing unnecessary traumas, or not necessary traumas, but unnecessary loads, invisible loads onto them, going, okay, well, Dad's gave us 4 options, we gotta choose. When I actually started to say, we have 4 hours, if you could do anything today, what's the one thing you want to do? You know what the answer was? I don't know.
Exactly, I agree.
And so when that showed up for me, again, it twisted me. It's like, what do you mean you don't know? So I would, a different version of me would again, armor up and say, whoa, make a damn decision. But instead, I carved the space and said, okay, cool. What do you want to do next? Invited them in. Well, can we have an hour to figure it out? Again, twist my nerve. Fine, take an hour. And that was not easy for me, especially a guy who was always trying to figure it out and have shit done. But what was magical after that was, in an hour, they actually set a timer. I'm using children. They actually set a timer. And they came back to me and said, we figured it out. It's like, oh, okay, cool. What do you want to do? What do you want to do? What do you want to do?
No, I agree. What do you do the next? That's a very good question, yeah.
I have a story
Sure.
about kids. I don't have any kids, but I have 5 nieces and nephews. The oldest is birthday's today, actually. And I'm one of those people who, I don't know if it's because I don't have kids of my own, but I'm pretty close to my nieces and nephews. Anyways, so my sister just moved to the States. She close to Boston. She just moved in August, and my brother went to go visit her for a week. They took a week off in October, and took the kids out of school and everything. And they had a jam-packed week because they'd never been to Boston. Like I said, my sister just moved. Now my sister was working full time. This was not her week off, but she said to my brother, "You can have a key to the house, come in and out as you please." But she's busy, right? And she only had so much time to spend with the kids, but they had stuff going all day. Like they bought like a city pass, and it was like museum this day and science thing this day, and every day was packed, right, full. They only really got to see my sister just like a little bit on the one of the weekends and a little bit overnight anyways. So when they came back from the trip, I said, hey kids, how do you guys like the trip? Oh, by the way, 6, 8, and 10, to give you an idea of the age. Oh yeah, a great trip. We want to go back. We want to go back. And I just said, because they said, well, I want to go back to Boston. I just said, what is in Boston that you guys want to see? And all of them, they're like, Auntie Lisa. None of them said the museum. None of them said this, they didn't even get to see my sister that much because she was working, right? And they were all busy. So I texted my sister, I said, this is what the kids said, right? They didn't even, like my sister really only had enough time to spend dinners, walk the dog, like they didn't do anything super exciting. But then all the kids want to say, oh, we want to see Auntie Lisa. I miss Auntie Lisa. That's it. Not one of them talked about the museum or any of the other things. Not one.
Yeah. It doesn't make you think like everything is so empty, meaningless, right? We can over.
I'm sure they had fun, but that wasn't even all three of them. Auntie Lisa.
And we can over distract ourselves with so many widgets. What is it? What are we searching for?
Yeah.
Connection.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing that.
My husband, for example, okay, what we will do today is I have proposal. We can go to Chuck's, we can go to this bar, to this bar, to this bar for just for drink if you want. He mentioned at least 1, 2, 3, 4 places that we can go. What do you want? And exactly. I asked what I really don't know. And I asked him, what is your preference? He said, no preference, all equal. How to choose where to go? I don't care, he does not care. That's anybody. Just list of proposal, but without anything. For me, if I have to if I propose something, for me, I have to say, we can go to there, but my preference may be this one because, for example, food
Sure.
discount, or at 8 o'clock some musician play or something. I have to say, okay, what is my preference? But when you're giving complete and you don't show what you want,
Yeah.
it was,
Thank you.
It should be some feeling and preference.
Yeah, I got that. Thank you for sharing this. I want to respect your time, and I want to make sure that there are some things here that, is this going to work? Let's see if this is going to work. I wanted to leave you with a few different takeaways, right? These are some of the things that I learned, and it's going to get into a breakdown that occurred, and I can quickly summarize that much faster. But as a result of having the privilege and pleasure of fostering trust with Christian, when I had a breakdown, which was pretty epic, like where something had occurred with our 2 children, very routine. One kicked the other kid's soccer ball, and all of a sudden, out of nowhere, I lost complete control of my body, and I collapsed, and I was on the floor crying and smashing my hands like a temper tantrum, and I was just a whole bunch of different epic collapses. What I'm sharing this because there's much more to that story, but what ended up happening after that, excuse me, was Christian came to check on me, and simply put his hand on my shoulder and said, "Hey man, are you okay?" And I wasn't, but I went through some recovery processes, and I leaned into the habits, rituals, and routines that served me well in the past to help recover. On the flip side of that, part of the internal work of becoming curious for myself and staying connected, I had to do some work. And much of what we were just talking about, I was always volleying over my expectations. Here's what I expect of folks, right? I expect you to do this, 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 whether it be personally, professionally. And what I realized was that becomes heavy. And the minute you let go of your expectations, everything else changes, right? You shared a story about, the trip to Boston, right? The expectations are, we're going to maximize this trip and we're going to do a whole bunch of great, cool things. That's exciting. Is that what we all expect? Is that within all of our agreements? And I'm not saying it is or isn't. But remember, it's two things in life. Expectations or agreements. And if we don't have agreement and we don't all have buy-in, then it becomes expectations. And my expectations are volleyed upon you and they become heavy. And we've talked about this in the past, and I said, unmatched expectations turn into resentment. Because I didn't unpack with you what your intentions are. And this one here was big for me too. We hear it often, and it's really, 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 really tough, right? Stop saying yes all the time, right? And you sort of came in here today with a whole bunch of thoughts buzzing through your head, like, do I do this? Do I do this? What if I don't? Right? And that's where I actually wanted to challenge you right in the beginning, where you said, I have all these thoughts buzzing around. I want to find the one thing. What if there is no one thing? What if the overarching thought, I'm going to drop this on you, what if the overarching thought is curiosity? Or whatever that word is for you, whatever that looks like. But you talked about creativity, and creativity is sparked out of curiosity. So, under that umbrella, what if there was more than one thing? What if there was writing, producing videos, interviewing people? What if it wasn't one thing?
What it means, let go, say, on the previous it was, let go of saying yes to everyone.
Okay, so let's go back to this story for a second. If you know that, okay, so for me, I'll use myself as an example.
What's the meaning? The better to ask questions, that person said yes, or
What I mean is let's not always say yes to the shining ball in front of us, right? So there's going to be human beings through our entire lives that volley over unsolicited information, unsolicited thoughts. Here's a great idea, do this. And what do we normally say? Sure. Or can you help me do this? Sure. Can you do this? Sure. It gets exhausting after a while. Until we start to peel back and say, hang on a second, does this fit within my realm? For me, I'll use myself as an example. For me, everything I do is to teach. And curiosity is that pillar, right? So, when somebody would say to me, hey, why don't you go and, sell cars for a living? It's really easy to say, oh, cool, yes, because, great opportunity in front of you. But I have to ask myself, does this fall within my overarching drive of teaching? If the answer is yes, then maybe I explore it. What if the answer is no? But we become so conditioned just to say yes to people. Yeah, sure, I'll try that. Because we feel guilty if we don't. And then we shame and blame ourselves. Oh, should have helped that person. I should have said yes to this. A little bit of missed opportunity. I don't know.
okay.
And so the last thing to take away was, we talk about asking questions. Ask questions. I put up a bunch of framework here, but this was all around seeking connection of others, right? We'll oftentimes say, oh, here's a prime example. Let's go have a coffee and chat. And you think, oh, I want to connect with you. I want to have a good conversation with you. Maybe that's not what the person wants. Maybe they don't enjoy coffee. We lived this so many times in the professional corporate world. It was like, oh, why don't you go golfing with this person? Because they don't like golf. or they don't want to go to a Leaf game, or they don't want to do whatever that is. But we oftentimes say, oh, I just want to, we're going to connect with this person and do it this way. Questions, curiosity, it leads to insight. So, I want to just leave those questions up there for a second because that's, it's all about questions for me. So, and it's all about curiosity. Anyhow, we're coming to the bottom of the hour, and I want to respect it. There's many more things to do in life than spend the entire day with me. Well, I'd be honored and privileged. You came with a dedicated block of time, so I want to respect that and hold that space.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
My question, did you interview some people who is sitting like this?
Right. Yeah, that's a great question.
What you will do if you interview me and I am sitting like this, my position, what do you think about this position?
I don't recall, but it
You,
might.
for you doesn't bother it?
Yeah. It depends on the like. When I was in video production, they bought the video rights, so they're open already to this because they bought it. I mean, and they're for a reason. So I don't recall interviewing anybody who didn't necessarily want.
Okay.
That I can recall. They wanted to. They bought it, so.
They weren't going to be closed-minded because they'd already paid for it, and they were doing this because they wanted to be part of it.
Like yeah.
Right.
Yeah, they already chose to do the video, so I can't recall a time, but.
I'd be curious though, right? To see how many situations you would enter in that field where you start like this, right? People are like, okay, how long is it? And then because you're so curious about the questions.
See, even your position is it's more gentle. It's more gentle, but this one, now, for
Right.
example, you come in, we're going for dinner,
Yeah.
and you're sitting in front of me like this.
Yeah.
What you will do? And we're talking with you. You're asking me, and I'm constantly like this. What would be your feeling?
Well, I would read that and go, okay, this person's closed-minded, but then I get excited because I'm like, all right, so how do I crack this, right? Because there's a moment in time where you're going to say something and it's going to trigger somebody to become open. There always is. There's always something. And, I always say, dig for the gold. Dig for the stuff that's not being said. If this person's like this, all right, what's going on, man? Right? I had fun with it. Cold in here? Like, what's happening? What am I missing? Right? And you start asking questions, and then all of a sudden, this might happen, and then this might happen, right?
Now that you ask, I can think of two that were closed off. But to the point of the last slide there, we had different agendas, right? They just bought the video. Like they already had what they wanted in mind. They didn't want to be interviewed. They were just like, this is what we want for the video. We want you to shoot. Like they don't care for my
Yes,
input or
I
whatever.
see.
So there was two that I can think of.
Oh, that's interesting.
But because they just paid for the time, and the people who organized it already had they already had this in mind. I didn't have to be there. The videographer could have just showed up. They already knew what they wanted, but yeah. But that's fine. I get my job.
Yeah, I guess, but interesting, right? They had their own agenda, didn't give a damn. Let's just get this over and done with.
Not over and done with. It's just that they like, if it was like, Jonathan's Bakery was like, most of the clients were like, I'm good at baking bread and I want to promote myself. I'm not an expert at it. I will trust you to do that job. But just two specific cases I can think of off the top of my head. It was kind of like, just they already had staff that was like admin or whatever that wanted to take care of it. It was like, I just bought that time. I get 3 hours to boss these videographers around or whatever, right? That's just a different agenda, which is fine.
Sure.
It was not really needed to do a script per se. The only people that complained about me not checking the website and blah, blah, blah. But again, that was they gave me that client because the people who'd been there many years before knew that they were really, really difficult people. So
So you know what you're getting into.
think about that. Yeah, I'm not worried about that kind of thing. But yeah, no, I understand what you're saying. And that's to your point, like not everybody's gonna be like the best match or like come with the same intentions, right, or agreements, right? Like I actually had to tell a client because they were hired for like the full day, and they had literally every minute, like us running around. It was one of these private schools for girls. I remember they had an agenda and everything, and I literally had to tell them, like, my job was not, like, as coordinator, I had to say, listen, we need a break. I said, we need half an hour to lunch and 15 minutes each, like, 15-minute breaks, and one in the morning, one at night. And they were like shocked. They're like, oh, we didn't have that in the agenda. Like they had every minute accounted for. I'm like, well, I was like, yeah, we are humans and we need half an hour lunch and a 15-minute break.
Right.
15-minute break. Like, what can they do, right? Like, they had every minute accounted for. We just had to be there. And yeah, but that's when I had to say something, right? But
Yeah.
But to your point, like, no, not every single one was creative and connection and whatever. Some people just wanted to buy the videography time, right? So.
But I met people in my life, they living by agenda.
Right.
No curiosity, no nothing, agenda. And people are like robots. Boom, 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 boom.
Totally get it.
Don't care about everything, ignore everything, ignore. Now here,
Can I say though, you asked what would it bring it like a notch, like from 2 to 3 to 3 to 4,
Sure.
and I said clarity. And this, I really thank you for that, because I have more clarity after this. I thought it'd be a miracle if that even moved up a notch. But I have a lot more clarity now, in an hour and a half. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah, really appreciate
oh,
it.
time is good.
You're welcome.
Yes, thank you.
Time is.
Thank you both. I appreciate you.
Thank you.
Thank you.